Hi guys, and welcome to my kitchen table here. This is your first lesson in our first actual real packet after we talked about our integers unit. The first lesson here talks about adding and subtracting fractions. So up at the top it just starts with some basic simplifying type problems for you. Just a reminder, when you're simplifying, you're actually dividing the top and the bottom by the same number. So here we divide them both by 7 and we get 1/7. 5 over 45 we divide by 5 and we get 1/9. 18 over 42, we could divide by 2, but we would have to keep going and going and going. If you think about it, the other things go into this would be 3, which would also work here, 6, which would also work here, and then 18 and 9 and 18 itself. 9 won't go in here. Biggest one is going to be 6, so we're going to do 3/7 will be our answer. Down here, changing the mixed numbers to improper. The first thing I recommend is when you notice these is to actually go ahead and simplify. So in this example, we're going to start off with 24 over 7. It's going to make your math a little bit easier in the long run, so I just simplified dividing by 2. What you now do is you're really doing 24 divided by 7. That's going to actually give you an answer of 3 wholes. You're going to end up with a remainder of 3, so you leave that as a fraction with the same denominator. In this one, I have a mixed number, and I'm going to change this improper. I'm noticing again this fraction right here, this 9 over 15, it needs to be simplified. So I'm going to actually start off with 4 and 3/5. Again, it's going to make my math way easier. To go to improper, if you remember kind of going around, you multiply these guys, add this guy, and bring your denominator over. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 3 is 23. So you end up with 23/5. Okay, the other two examples, not too difficult. 60 divided by 10 is another way of thinking of that. That's a whole 6. And the last one is 5 and 7/8 then. So you would have to just go around and multiply. 8 times 5 is 40, plus 7 is 47/8. Coming down here, this is the actual lesson. So remember, in order to add or subtract fractions, you have to have common denominators. If they're mixed numbers, you also need to have common denominators. Some of you have been changing mixed numbers to improper. Things get ugly and get nasty, so we're just going to avoid that here. First thing I always check is to make sure that I can't simplify my fractions, and since I can't, I need to go ahead and make a common denominator. In this case, it's just going to be 18. 9 times 2 is 18, so 1 times 2 is 2. And 6 times 3, so 5 times 3. Denominator stays the same. Sorry, my dog is out there. She's going crazy. You can see her. Hi, Julia. Hi, Julia. So 2 plus 15 is going to be 17 there. The only other one that I would try and talk to you about is the second one right here. I would actually simplify this first. It's going to divide by 5 and you're going to get 1/3. It's going to be easier to find your common denominator, which is still in this case going to be 30 times 3 times 10. So you're going to end up with 31/30, or you can write that as 1 and 1/30 then. Mixed numbers, I know we kind of talked about this earlier. I like to stack, some of you like to stack, some of you don't like to stack. Whichever way floats your boat, check your fractions. Neither can be simplified. Common denominator is going to be with 6. So we're going to have 2 times 3, 1 times 3, 3 times 2, 2 times 2. You have to add the fraction pieces together first. You're going to end up with 7/6, and 4 plus 3 is 7. This is improper, so if you're leaving your answer as a mixed number, that's a no-go. This is really equal to 1 and 1/6, so your final answer here is 8 and 1/6. Let's try this one real quickly here. Actually, that one's going to be making a common denominator. I'll show you the stacking method. So 6 plus 8, 5 and 9. Our least common denominator is actually still going to be 45. So times 9. Times 9 is 9, 9 times 5 times 5. 9 plus 5 is 14 45ths, and 6 plus 8 is 14. Just always double check your final answer, make sure it's simplified. These guys here have common denominators. 2 plus 3 is going to be 5, 4 plus 3 is going to be 7/5, Not okay, so this is going to be 6 2/5 then for your final answer here. Moving along, subtraction is going to work the same way, so I'm not going to waste too much time on all of these. First thing I would do, look for your common denominator. You're going to make 15ths, 8 15ths minus 6 15ths. 8 minus 6 is 2 over 15. Always check that final answer to make sure that it is a common, that it's simplified and it's good to go. We'll skip over those two, same concept here. Down here at the bottom, I'm going to show you the stacking method on this one. Common denominator is going to be 21. 7 times 3, so 18. 21, it's going to stay the same. If I have 18 21st and I need to subtract 19 21st, I have a problem. I don't have enough. So I have to go to the 5 and I have to borrow. I'm borrowing 1 whole, which in my scenario right now is really 21 21st. So it's 21 over 21. So I basically am adding that on here. So this is actually going to end up being 39 over 21 minus 19 over 21, which is going to leave me 20 21st, and 4 minus 1 is going to be 3. That's called borrowing with fractions. You have to think about what is your 1 whole that you're actually borrowing here. Okay, I'm going to show you this example as well. Common denominator is going to end up being 30 times 5 times 5. Same scenario here. I can't do this. 7 minus 25, not possible, so I have to borrow. This will become a 6. In borrowing 1 whole, quote unquote, I'm actually borrowing 30 30ths to give to this guy. So I have 37 30ths minus 25 is now going to give me 12 30ths, and 6 minus 3 is 3. This is a no because this needs to be simplified. So if I simplify, divide them by we can actually go by 6, can't we? So we get 2/5. Okay? All right, so here's the dealio with these guys. When we start working with negatives, first thing I'm going to ask you to do is a sign analysis. If it's a subtraction problem, rewrite it. Okay? This is the longest part of the lesson here. These already have common denominators, so all I'm looking at is my numerator, -4 plus 8. What is that going to end up giving me? That's actually going to give me a +4 still. Keep my denominator. Down here, need to make common denominators. So I'm going to have -4/10 plus 1/2 is going to be 5/10. Don't worry even about the denominators right now. -4 plus 5 is going to be a +1. Since they had common denominators, it stays. Flipping over here to this scenario, we now have mixed numbers. We're going to see that too. A negative plus a negative. They're going to just add the numbers and keep that negative together. So -2 and -2 is going to give me a -4. And then I have 3/5 plus 2/3. So this is really how I'm thinking about it. Common denominator is going to be 15 times 3 times 3 times 5 times 5. My dog is still losing it. So I'm going to have -4 and 19/15, and hopefully you're looking at that like Mrs. Grabner. Please don't leave that as your final answer because this is improper. This is really 1 and 4/15. So my final answer is -5 and 4/15 here. In this guy, before I even make common denominators, just look at the whole numbers. A 3 plus a -6. The negatives are going to win out. You have 3, you owe me 6. My final answer is going to be a negative number. So I'm going to start there. If you think about this, if you have the 3, you owe 6, you're really doing a subtraction problem now. So you're really inside your head doing 6 and 1/4 minus 3 and 4/5. Make yourself to have a common denominator, which is going to be 20 minus 3/16. If you're looking at this one, you're probably sighing as much as I am right now because 5/20 minus 16/20 we can't do. You have to borrow. Add the 20/20, so this will be 25/20. Now you can do it. 25 minus 16 is going to give you 9/20, and 5 minus 3 is going to give you 2. Remember, we already did sign analysis. Our final answer was negative, so it's -2 and 9/20. This is going to be one of the trickiest problems. With subtraction, we mentioned this earlier, we're going to rewrite it first. So stays the same, make 2 marks. So you have a negative 4/7 plus positive 2/7. Already have common denominators, negative 4 plus 2. You're still going to get negative 2 on the top. Keep the denominator. In this one, rewrite, make 2 marks. They're both negatives. You're going to add them up. Your final answer will be negative, but you do need to make a common denominator. Notice how when I kind of do the side work, I don't even worry about the signs. That's perfectly fine. So we're going to get 19/18. So negative 19/18 or negative 1 1/18. I'm going to actually start letting you leave your answers like this if you'd like to, because quite honestly, that's where we're going to end up at the end of the year. But if you're still preferring to change them over to mixed numbers, you're more than welcome to do that too. Let's go into some that have the mixed numbers and have the signs and everything. So first one stays the same. Minus minus is a big old plus. So this one you're kind of starting to do that sign analysis. A negative 3 and a positive 5. Positives are going to win out, so I'm going to put a little plus there to remind me of that. And now I'm trying to figure out how much do they win by. So how many more do they have? What's the difference? So I'm really doing 5 1/3 minus 3 2/5. Common denominator is going to be 15 times 5 times 5 times 3 times 3. Anybody else sighing right now? Yep. Borrow, add the 15/15. So you really have 20/15. 20 minus 6 is 14/15, and 4 minus 3 is 1. That's looking good. Come back up here. Sign analysis was a positive, so my final answer is 1 14/15. Last example for this lesson. Same deal. Zoop, zoop. 2 marks. Minus minus becomes a big old plus. Negative 9 plus 2. Negatives are winning out. So we're starting off with basically a subtraction problem then to figure out how many more the 9 has. Right here, issue. Don't have any 7s. So we have to borrow. In borrowing 1 whole, we borrow 7 7s. So we get 3 7s, and that's going to be 6. So a negative 6 3/7 is your final answer.